What's up, boys? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the 5 things that could be detrimental to your strength gains. So if you're making these mistakes, then you might not be having a good time, you might be plateauing, you might not be making good progress in the gym, which obviously isn't good, especially if you're doing something like powerlifting like me and you want to get stronger, or if strength's just your goal and that's not happening for you. It could be because of one of these 5 mistakes. So make sure you watch all the way to the end of this video to see if you are making any of these mistakes. And if you are, I suggest that you get them fixed as soon as possible. Alright, so let's get started. So tip 1, we have rest and recovery. So if you're not resting long enough, if you're not sleeping long enough, if you're not sleeping at least 8 hours, maybe even up to 10 if you're a teenager, then this can actually cause a lot of problems when it comes to recovery. You could be training very hard in the gym, but if you're not resting and you're not recovering, then you're not getting as much out of it as you could have. So actually training is only half of the battle. The other half of the battle is making sure you're resting and recovering enough. So if you're spending your entire day, rest of the day, out playing football, sure, that is good for cardio and overall fitness. But whereas when it comes to strength gains, that's not completely optimal, especially if you've just had a leg session beforehand, or even worse, if you have a leg session coming up the following day, then that can cause a lot of problems because you're not fully resting and not fully recovering in time, and meaning you have lots of fatigue, which could make you perform worse than you actually could be performing if you had rested and recovered enough. So making sure you're sleeping enough and making sure you're resting enough during the day is very good to make sure that you're not making this mistake. The second thing that could be ruining your strength progress is over/under training. So if you're overtraining, then what you need to do is completely cut down on that volume. Now, the way to figure out if you're overtraining is if you normally do sort of 4 to 5 weeks before you deload, but on week 3 or 4, you feel like, I'm completely beaten up, but I'm just doing another week anyways, and you're not like increasing weight each and every week, then that can be a problem, and that probably is a sign that you're overtraining. So say you're lifting more on your RPE 9 week than you are on your RPE 10 week, then chances are you've been overtraining and you need to cut down on a bit of volume during your workout. So during your workout program. So the same with undertraining. If you feel like you can get all the way through your program just fine, then next mesocycle, so next time after your deload, and like the time after your last deload and the training before your next deload, what you want to do is sort of up the intensity, up the weight, up the volume, and sort of test and see if you can do more and recover from it. But if you're going into your, like I said before, 2nd to 3rd week, and you're trying to figure out if you're under training or not, and you go into your 2nd or 3rd week with more volume, and you feel like it's not sustainable, you can't carry on going like this, then chances are you got it right beforehand and you can go back to it. But if not, you up the intensity, up the volume, and you can train throughout the entire thing. So you just do your 4 weeks or however long you normally do before a deload, and you deload and you feel absolutely great, you feel absolutely fine, then chances are beforehand you're leaving some gains on the table and you could have done a bit more. And in that case, the problem's been fixed. You've done enough to sort of stimulate strength gains. So yeah. So moving on to mistake 3 that could be affecting your strength gains, we have nutrition and diet. So if you're not getting enough protein in, then this could be a problem for your recovery, because it means your muscles are not getting enough protein to recover at optimal rates. So if you have protein, it'll make sure that the muscle regrows bigger and that you'll recover faster with protein. So if you want to know how much protein you should be eating per day, you sort of take your body weight. So for example, you're 70 kilos, you times it by 2.2, so you convert it into pounds. So that would be 144 pounds. And then you sort of times that by 0.7, which is 100 for this example. So then you need to eat between 100 grams of protein and your weight in body weight in pounds of protein. So 100 grams of protein, and in this example, 144 grams of protein. That's the sort of range you want to be eating in per day for sort of the maximal recovery and the maximal gains and the maximal effects to your actual strength. Also, if you're not eating enough carbs, if you're not eating enough calories, this can sort of affect your strength because you're not getting enough energy in to go in and hit a good workout. So if you're not eating enough carbs, say you're doing a carb-free diet, or you're just dieting down, and you feel like you're not gaining any strength, it's probably because you are dieting down. Obviously, if you're going to a lower body weight, then you're not going to be able to lift as much as much as before, because your body weight is now lower, and you may still be gaining muscle and still be gaining strength, but because you no longer have that fat to sort of help you and support you during the lifts, then it could look like you're staying at the same place, but you're actually getting stronger because your body weight's going down. So how do I put this? So an example of this would be, say you're 90 kilos and you're benching 90 kilos, and you cut to 80 kilos, but you're benching 90 kilos, you're technically benching more because it's more compared to your body weight, if that makes sense. So yeah, fat and stuff also helps you when it comes to sort of like benching and squatting and deadlifting and stuff like this. You might have heard the term mass moves mass. So yeah, that's why there's weight classes and powerlifting and all stuff like this. It's because even fat helps you lift more. So if you're cutting down, then don't be worried. If you're losing a little bit of strength, or you're sort of maintaining that your strength, is actually a good sign when you're cutting down on calories. So moving on to the fourth mistake that you could be making that could be ruining your strength gains, we have bad technique. So if you have a bad squat, bench and deadlift technique, then this can obviously affect your training because of your higher rates of injury. You might be getting injured a lot more. For example, if you're rounding your back on the deadlift, then this isn't great because it increases your chances of injury. Same with the squat. Sort of things to fix this are posterior chain work. Obviously, look up for rounding your back on deadlift in particular, and the squat. So you might want to incorporate some posterior chain work to sort of strengthen your back. Stuff like good mornings and stuff help with that. I know I'm training that at the moment to sort of help improve the strength of my posterior chain, because sometimes I feel that my back is slightly rounded on deadlifts and I want to sort of fix that. Also helps a lot with squats. Yeah, and you need to be looking up the technique as well if you can. So like on YouTube, there's loads of videos on perfect bench press technique, perfect deadlift technique, perfect squat technique. You need to sort of be following those to the best of your ability. Even if it means dropping some weight and sort of like throwing your ego out, that's a good thing. I know that was a thing that was hard for me. So I used to, for example, lift my hips a lot when I was bench pressing. So I'd sort of bench, and then, this is a very common thing, by the way, use my legs and my hips would come up right off the bench, and I'm not really using my upper body muscles as much as I should be. And I'm using a lot of my leg drive. I used to use a lot of my leg drive to help me actually bench the weight. So what you might need to do is drop down the weight for a little while and improve on your technique. And overall, this will make you stronger because you're targeting the muscles better. You're actually targeting the actual movement better, and you're making yourself more consistent with your form, obviously leading to better strength gains. And if you're not doing it, it could be causing you to lose actual strength gains because your form isn't consistent and it's not correct. So make sure you're fixing your form. Loads of videos on YouTube about it, like I said. And yeah, go and have a look at some of those. I might upload some videos about form, actually, if you guys do want that. Just leave it down in the comments. And yeah, so make sure you fix your form. So the fifth and final thing I want to talk about today is, now this is a sort of, if you've gone through the first 4 tips and you feel like, okay, my rest and recovery is good, my diet is good, my form is good, all of that's good, I'm not overtraining or undertraining, then the reason you're not gaining strength could be because you haven't gained any size in a long time. So, for example, if you've been training strength for months and years without any hypertrophy work, chances are your muscles have stayed the same size. They've just got stronger. So at some point you're gonna have to increase the size of your actual muscles, because muscle size sort of indirectly increases strength because it gives you sort of more potential to be stronger. So if you see a guy that's massive in the gym, you just know he's strong because he's big, for example. Whereas if you see a guy that's skinnier in the gym, you will know that he's not as strong as the guy that's big. Even if the guy that's big is only training hypertrophy work, he's probably stronger than the guy who's small and just training strength work. So what you could do is take sort of 10 plus weeks to just work on hypertrophy, making those muscles bigger and having more potential to sort of push more strength and make it so that you can actually get stronger with bigger muscles. So for example, if you've been training for quite a long time, just strength, and you haven't been increasing your muscle size, then you might be plateauing because you've got the most out of the size of your muscles. Like, your strength is the highest it can be, or close to the highest it can be, for the actual size muscles that you have. So in that case, like I said, what you need to do, take 10 or so weeks, 10 plus weeks to train hypertrophy, and then go back to strength training. Now, it'll take a bit of time to adjust back to strength training because obviously it's different rep ranges, sort of different breathing, different like setups for the movements. Obviously, if you're doing 8 reps before and now you're doing 3 reps, it's a lot different. So you will have a time where you're not as strong for a little while as you were before, but then you'll make a lot of progress and go past sort of the strength you had originally, which is obviously exactly what we want. So yeah, if you guys did enjoy this video, I'd really appreciate it if you did give it a like and maybe considered subscribing as well. Obviously, videos have been doing really good recently, sort of like 300 plus views on each one, which is absolutely amazing. My last video, which is sort of the first video that I filmed sort of like this, is on like 19 likes, which is like the most likes I've ever got on a video, which is awesome. So obviously you guys enjoy this type of video, and of course any comments are welcome. Anything you'd like to suggest for me to do a video about, I should be releasing one soon on ab work. Someone requested that in my comments, so that'll be coming out really soon. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.